So what's up, everybody? It's me, True Star Screamer. And as you can see, different shirt. I'm actually not recording these the same day, go figure. But this is the follow-up. This is the top 5 disappointments for me.
Disappointed!
For 2024 in my action figure purchases. And I don't like being let down by figures, let me tell you. I am not exactly a big-time YouTuber, as all 5 of you know. So I gotta pay for these figures. So when a figure lets me down, I kind of take it personally. So, okay, I'm not that bad to it. Now, if you want, I'm not going to eviscerate things, but I am let down when things don't meet my standards. And so, kind of the same rules before. I've got my top 5 disappointments. I don't like to do 10 because that really makes me feel bad about my collection and spending habits. But also, listen, I don't like to buy bad figures, so ideally, it's very few and far between. So I got 5 major letdowns, and I actually got 3 honorable mentions. And the honorable mentions aren't like horrible figures, but they're definitely figures that definitely stuck to me, if that makes sense. So, enough of that being said, on with the list. Starting off with our honorable mentions, we're going with the 3-0 Figure Zero series Bloodshot figure. Now this unto itself is not a horrible figure. Probably the biggest thing is this guy did not measure up to my standards, literally. The scale really threw me off. He's a true 1/12 scale, but he's actually still smaller than some of my Mezco figures. Also, the accessories were a bit lackluster, and it just did not do it for me. I was lucky to not buy him at full price, but if I had, I would have utterly put him on the top 10 or top 5. Second, we have our G.I. Joe Classified Series Storm Shadow version 2. Just go watch the review. I mean, I just did not care for this design. I did not care for the execution. I mean, I love Storm Shadow. That's why the Mezco was on my top 10 list. And this just did not suit a lot of the things I liked for a classified figure. I thought he was clunky. I just thought he was kind of distracting. I wasn't a fan of the design unto itself, even though it was comic book accurate. But even then, they could have made it better, to be frank. Especially with the backpack. That was just crap. This might be a surprise, but this is the La Muerta from Loose Collector. As a figure, she was pretty good. Had some quality control issues with the looseness of her hips, ironically for a character company called Loose Collector. Also, some of the articulation did not meet my needs. But the thing is, she was over $60 and effectively was like an overdone Marvel Legend. Again, the sculpt was beautiful. Weapons could have used a lot more paint. She could have had more accessories, especially for that price. At least a second head sculpt. So with that, that's why she's not as a top 5 disappointment, but definitely kind of a regret. Number 5. We're gonna hit Uncle Todd with the McFarlane Digital Series. The Green Lantern was good, don't get me wrong, but we're talking about the Batman. This was a double review, and yeah, the joints were loose. The cape was driving me nuts. Why is this figure on the list? Because buying these guys just made me realize I am done with this line. So the fact that this is the purchase that made me say enough was enough, I am no longer giving my money on this, that easily puts it in a top disappointment line. And that is why you are the number 5 disappointment for me on my purchases. Now I'm trying to sell these figures off. Number 4. Hasbro. And this was the Twilight Guard and Steel Corps Commander. I actually bought 2 of these because I'm an army building fiend. And this is another one where the execution was almost overcomplicated, kind of like Storm Shadow. I got more weapons with the Steel Corps Commander than he needed. And they just didn't look good in my opinion. They're a neat novelty set. If you're a completionist, I would say get them. I thought it was kind of cool that they did with the soft goods on the Twilight Guard, and of the two, he was definitely the better. But in general, I had no desire to, really army build with these guys, which is crazy for me. Number 3. Surprise, surprise, more Hasbro. Again, this isn't the Icarus we're talking about here, even though it was a double review. We're talking about the Red Widow. This by far has to be one of the worst Marvel Legends I have ever handled, especially with that crap cape that she came with, that hard plastic cape that restricts her movement, throws off her balance. She can't even stand. Yeah, the only reason to get this is literally getting the Zabu wave, which unto itself was a pain in the ass because I never could find the rest of it, which Hasbro's on my shit list for that. So, yeah, this figure actually, again, also made me reconsider collecting Marvel Legends because of such a poor execution. Now, number 2. This is going to be a surprise because I know the loose collector werewolves are on a lot of people's top 10 lists. The biggest thing on this, I can't mess with this. I have to heat, boil. I can't do. Once this guy cools off, I cannot move this figure without risk of breaking it. And then even then, once you loosen up the joints, they are not consistent. Listen, the sculpt is gorgeous. I will not deny that. If the articulation worked, this would absolutely be a fantastic figure. But for what you're paying for on this, to not be able to use it the way you want to, utter fail for me. And the number 1 disappointing figure for me for 2024 is the Hasbro Nemesis Immortal. Yes, that's right, Hasbro, you get the hat trick this year. Again, this figure should have been amazing. The sculpt, the paint, beautiful. But the guy cannot stand. You put the wings on, which are actually, I kind of like the wings. You put the wings on, he falls backwards. Simple heel spurs would have saved that. He can't hold his weapons. Again, this should have been fantastic, but some of the simplest things caused this guy to be such a fail. Add that with that he was an exclusive, so it was a whole lot of heartache, a whole lot of challenge to getting this guy. Oh, I can keep on ranting on and on about this, but the fact is this figure caused drama. You got the figure, and then you're just kind of left holding it going, this is it? Yes, that is why the Nemesis Immortal figure is my number 1 disappointing figure of 2024. And there you have it. That is the 2024 list of figures that let me down. Like I said, I don't like to be overly critical, alright? That's not the gimmick of this channel, okay? I'm trying not to eviscerate. I'm just trying to say why things are good. And I try to be honest about them as well. A lot of people are probably surprised about the loose collector figures being on there because I know those are on a lot of people's top 10 lists. But for me, especially because I'm spending my money on that one, I figure I am entitled to be as critical as I like. Hasbro took over the rest, so, which kind of makes me reflect on my collecting habits. I like to say I think I'm going to definitely be moving more towards the higher end, out of the kids' toys thing. I mean, I'm still going to like my classified. I'll still probably pick up an occasional Marvel Legend. McFarlane, though, is out. Like I said, I'm trying to sell my collection now because I just realized this is not the line for me. And that's kind of the neat thing about doing lists like these. You go back, you reflect, and that's what it's all about. But let me know your thoughts down below. That's the fun part of all this. Do you like me being on this side of the camera as opposed to just being a pair of hands? If you want me to do more breakdowns, criticisms, and things like that, let me know down there. 2025. This is going to be a lot. This is going to be a lot of cool things going on. I plan on doing more live casts this year. I plan on doing more kind of just different than just reviews, if that makes sense. And of course, figure action and figure reaction is going to be awesome this year. And I want you guys to all be on that journey with me. So hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, do all the crazy YouTube stuff. And of course, most importantly, as always, until next time, take care. Peace.
Disappointed!